your video yesterday. I cried so hard.
Yeah, I wanted to cry too, believe me.
You know, I saw every day Wendy Liebman puts out jokes, and the other day she was crying. She can't do it right now. This is so much.
It's too much to take.
Hey, everybody on Facebook land, have to interrupt you. You guys, this is Dante Rusciolelli, Dante the comic.
Oh, yeah, you said my name perfectly. No one can say it. That's why I don't use it.
Should have had me cloned.
I know. You should be cloned. You're like one of the nicest people I've ever met, and every comic who's ever met you just loves you. That's why everyone comes on your show. Really, I hope you know that about yourself, that you are just this genuine, good human being, and that's why you and so many other nice people like you get the attention of celebrities. Like you're going to do Sinbad today, right? Or you already did? Or yeah, so that's really exciting, but that's because of you. I just want you to know that about you. It's because you're great.
Thank you so much. You know what? I found that there's two things that helps you to get people on your show. Number
What's
one,
that?
Be a nice person.
Always.
Yeah. And number two, be freaking patient. Not the higher up you go for somebody, the more they might have a chance of telling you they have to do it next week.
Right.
Good people, you have to sometimes wait 3 months. You're not going to get them if you're a bitch about it.
Yeah, I mean, I run a lot of I run a lot of celebrities information on, social media, and people are so impatient. They'll be like, hey, would you mind doing this? And then within 5 minutes, they're like, fuck you, you didn't even respond. I'm like, what? Is that how you treated this celebrity that you were just begging something from?
Jeez. You know, like I try to go through life where I'm trying to do things for other people. And sometimes you struggle with your own wanting to get stroked, wanting to get an ego fed or get something back. But really, if you go out there to see how can I bless you, you will never outgive anybody. You'll get it back.
Yes. That's so great. Yes, I'm all for everything you just said.
Thank you.
Because it's true. It's true. I mean, here's the thing. I'm glad I'm on here because
me too.
I think people check out my posts, and if you don't know who I am, I'm just a guy. But I live in Hollywood right now, and I'm very active, and I've been marching every day, and I've been filming police, and I've been doing all of these things. But I wanted to say something. I don't hate the police, and I don't hate anyone. Don't confuse my passion for hatred. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate the police. But I am passionate. If I see injustice, it does something to me. My friend, Melissa Greenberg, who's also a comedian, she was my best man at my wedding. And she said something that I've never forgotten. I think about it every day. It's so weird. No one had ever really described me to me before. I think we all kind of maybe need it, like to go to our own funeral someday. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To figure out what's good and bad about us. But she said, the thing about Dante is that he only believes in right and wrong. That's what guides his life. And she was so right. I had never thought about that. Like, I don't lie to anyone. I don't ever do anything wrong. If I see someone else doing something wrong, it bothers me. You know what I mean? I'm not like a tattletale. There's guys I've seen do lots of things wrong to their wives and other people. And I just shut my mouth. But what I do is I cut them out of my life because that's not how I live.
Absolutely. My family does not necessarily appreciate my honesty, but my dad survived the Holocaust by lying, cheating, and stealing.
Good.
Yeah, right?
Good. Right.
Yeah.
And that's how he should have. And however, by any means necessary. Right?
Yeah.
That was, how horrific. I'm so sorry that he had to go through that.
Thank you.
How horrific.
What?
How horrific.
Yeah.
How terrible.
And so my whole life, I was trained by my dad to lie, cheat, and steal to have his love.
That's deep.
And so then when I got to where I came to the knowledge that that was wrong and I was hurting people, that's why I am the way I am today. So it was really the biggest gift. That's all.
Well, I think you're great. And I've only met you a year ago, not even. right? It was October of this year.
At the Portland Comedy Festival.
At the Portland Comedy. Correct. And I don't know your past, but people can change, you know? Someone was trying to debate with me yesterday, and I don't even give people debates, but this guy was a friend. But, you know, when someone tries to debate me about Trump, I just think about Mark Twain, what he said. His quote about stupid people is my favorite quote ever. He says, don't fight with stupid people because they're just going to drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. And it's true. You'll never change. There's a difference between a Trump supporter and a Trumper. Like, I deal with Republican businessmen who make a lot of money by having a Republican in office, whether it's Trump or someone else. So they need to support him. I don't hate those people. I don't, because it's purely business to them. They are separating, you know, emotions and business. But Trumpers, we all know what they are, and you can't change their minds. You can't talk to them. There's no reasoning with them. Nice. Oh my God, my gardener's here. I might have to go inside for the rest of this interview.
Okay, not a problem.
That's all right. I can still talk and carry my marijuana and drinks all at the same time.
Do you have marijuana plants in your backyard? Do they allow it?
Oh, sure. Just in this yard, I think there's only like 5.
Wow.
But in the backyard, I have about 40.
Wow.
I mean, 12.
You have a no parking fire lane sign?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. The city of Los Angeles had stopped. Oh man, my gardener's coming. Los Angeles had stopped fixing up the areas in front of your homes. And so I fixed up this patch of dirt in front of my home, and it's a no parking place. And so I just decided to put that up so that, you know, I don't know why, just trying to keep it legal. All right, let me go inside.
Okay.
So he can do my yard. Sheesh. Who knew it was a Thursday? Oh, I did.
Who do people say you look like, Dante?
Some people have said Kevin Spacey. Some people have said Sean Penn. Some people, when I was younger, when I would wear my hair up, said Morrissey. I don't know. Oh, you should say hi to Mel as we pass.
Where's my Mel?
Mel, why don't you say hello to Linda?
Hi, Mel.
Hello, Linda.
Hi. Mwah. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm alive.
Yes. You're still ticking. It looks like the clock behind you is still ticking too, right?
That's right.
We got a crazy world we're living in right now, Mel.
Well, I'm working through it.
Yes. You look like you're doing great.
Yeah, we're doing things, you know. I've got puzzles to do.
You did a good job raising Rebecca.
Oh, definitely.
What a daughter you have.
I've got a daughter and a son.
Yep. Granddaughter.
Yeah, Willow.
Got it all.
So, you know, what else
got
can
a
you do?
rich life.
Listen, it really is. It's a good place to be for us.
Yes.
And we're very happy together here. Thank you, Mel. All right. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm indoors now, and my dog is here with me. This is Henry.
Hi, dog. What's your dog's name?
Henry with an I.
Hi, Henry with an I.
And I've got weird COVID hair. Rebecca keeps trying to get me to cut the sides because it's getting so long. But it's in the weird period. I want it just to get slightly longer. I've just never had hair longer than, you know, like maybe to here. So I just wanted to get to maybe here just once. That's it. That's it.
Well, we need to unravel white privilege and crazy America. This is making so many people so depressed and suicidal and triggered. And
yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, when you and I first started talking before, I think you turned on the camera, maybe it was on, I don't know. You had mentioned that you're very triggered right now. Obviously, most people are, but your experience is different than everyone else's. What are you going through?
Well, when I see people who I look up to, who are strong people, having trouble coping, you know, like Wendy Liebman,
right.
She's always telling jokes and she can't tell a joke right now. I know I cannot pick up a pen and I put crap on Facebook, stuff I don't mind if someone steals. I'm not going to use it in my set. I know it's junk, you know.
Okay.
I can't be serious right now because the world's crumbling around us and nothing's getting better. It never ends. I don't know I feel helpless. I feel like what do we do to get this to stop? There's so much there's so much racism. It's still not equal for Black people in America. It never has been. Some of us are just waking up to it. I've known it since my daughter was in a Black high school.
Sure.
But I don't know what to do.
Plus, you also saw things that I haven't seen in my lifetime, right? I mean, you saw things in the 60s I didn't see. Injustices, I'm sure, throughout your entire life that I haven't seen, that I would be shocked if you know, if I saw it today. And then there's other things that you've seen in your lifetime that have never changed, just like me. I made this video about, I did this same thing, the you know, going out and protesting and yelling at police. I did this in 92 during the Rodney King riots, you know, and now I'm doing it 30 years later. It's exhausting. But guess what? We're just dumb ants. I hate to say it. We're just ants. That's all we are. And I think sometimes if you think of it like that and just take a deep breath and go, so what? Really, I paid $400 to learn the words, so what? I did. There's a company, what are they called? Some company that, huh?
Est?
Yes, Est. But what's the other name? Yes, but what's the other name for it?
Landmark.
Landmark Education, correct. So I went to Landmark for a whole weekend. And what happens is everyone sits around hoping that you will reunite them with their father or change their life or, you know, let's give me back my relationship with the kids or whatever. So everyone gets up and tells their story of how their daughter hates them or their father did this or this happened. And then it's Saturday morning and we think they're going to teach us and they don't. And on Saturday morning, they say, okay, the other half of the room, tell us your story. Now it's Sunday. I've paid $400 for this weekend and not one instructor has talked. And at the very end, he goes, hey, there's only about 15 minutes left. Do you guys want to know why you're here? And I said, yes. We all said yes. And he goes, to learn these two words. So what? So what? If they don't want to talk to you, so what? Right? So what? I mean, it really does. You know how you get so upset when you're going to be behind on a bill or you're worried you can't make your rent? How many times have you done that in your lifetime? Thousands? Thousands. And did it ever matter? Were you ever thrown out on the streets or homeless? But if you would have just said, so what? You know it's going to work out. You do. You have a million friends. You do. If you were about to be evicted and you said that to people because you are the sweetest lady, people would pay your rent for you. You know what I mean? Because you're a good person. But this whole so what thing really helped me. So did my parents dying. I hate to say that, but it made me realize that nothing matters. You know, Rebecca and I were talking last night about stuff. Like, who needs stuff anymore? We were watching The Sopranos, and that whole show is about people trying to steal stuff, watches and furs and all this stuff. And it's like, for what? When my parents died, their home looked like a museum. It really did. They had Hummels and all these nice pieces and valuable art and blah, blah, blah that has sat in my garage for 5 years. And the other half is in a dump somewhere. It is because of so what? I mean, even on The Sopranos last night, it's so funny I brought that up because they were talking about the same issues, police brutality, all these other things, and how things haven't changed. And this was 2002, this episode I think I was watching last night. And it's like nothing changes. It doesn't, because people will never change. We're just the same ants. People don't, you know, they always say people don't, we repeat our history. We do. I mean, the Holocaust, I don't mean that to take away from the Jewish Holocaust of the 40s, but there's been Holocausts happening all over the world since the major Holocaust, and people do nothing about it. You know, killing, you know, people go into African villages with machetes and murder the whole village. For what?
So I saw the video of you out there on the streets in Hollywood holding the police accountable, and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed because it gave me hope that somebody is doing something.
Well, thanks. There are people out there doing stuff. I mean, I wasn't the only one out there.
No.
I started it. I started yelling, knowing that people would come out with their cameras and see what was happening. And they did. And luckily, I live across the street from an activist. So now you've got two activists. You've got a male and a female. And she's out there yelling too. And you've got me, and that got everyone else charged up. But my real problem in this world is, how many videos have we watched where the person's filming the police just beating someone, and all these people are standing around watching like lambs? It's like, scream at the top of your lungs. Scream, go stop it, pull the policeman off. If you get shot, wasn't it worth it? Isn't that something worth dying over? I mean, for maybe everybody's different, but for me, like yesterday, I had no fear talking to those police. I really didn't.
I saw that.
Because it was just right and wrong, and I knew that I was in the right. And what were they going to do? Shoot me for using my First Amendment right of freedom of speech, right? Freedom of the press. Sure, they could have shot me, but so what? So what? If I die, so what? The world's not going to end. I thought it would end when my parents died, but it didn't. It just got worse.
So when you were out there and you were telling the police things that they were doing wrong and trying to give the victims, the 4 Black people, a voice, that the police were intimidating them from having their own freedom of speech in those moments.
I should get my own Zoom, by the way. Doesn't it say Rebecca Cochin at the bottom? That's my wife.
When you were doing that, I was watching it thinking, here's where I'm troubled. I'm never depressed just to be depressed. I'm depressed if there's a problem and I don't know what to do about it, how to fix it. I can't see a way to make it better, then I get depressed. So we're seeing it so clearly now, finally, and it hasn't gotten better, and I don't know what to do. And like, for instance, my daughter went to an all-Black high school, and she did not want to piss off anybody that was a person of color. So she went to the library and got a book at the high school on Black history. And in the Black history book at the high school, it used the N-word. And it didn't say it was wrong. It had it in the text, just throwing the word out there in the library at the school where 98% were Black students. So my daughter started using it because she didn't know not to, because I guess I failed at that one, but I didn't ever say you should use it. I just, and so we need to, like, everywhere we look, there's changes that need to happen still. Like,
right, everywhere.
Library books. What are kids getting taught,
Right. Why are we still teaching kids that Christopher Columbus discovered America? Like, come on, we're adults, right? Haven't we figured out that this didn't really happen? I feel like our parents lied to us for a really long time. They did. They knew that, people were spraying our apples with bug spray. They knew that, and let it happen. And that's easy for me to say because I wasn't there, because guess what? My kids are going to say, hey, you guys let Trump happen. You let all of this happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it is frustrating to, I don't know, Linda,
So you're doing something about it. So I would think that mentally that you're a little better off because you're not sitting around being helpless and hopeless.
No, that's okay. I mean, guess what? You don't have to leave your home and go fight to be an anarchist or a fighter. Sometimes just reposting the people doing the right thing and the people doing the wrong thing, that could be more powerful. Your post could make it to the right person at the right network or the right police officer. You know what I mean? Your one retweet could be more important than anything I do on the streets. So it never feel unempowered when you have social media, because there was a little girl who, screamed to the world. I think she was in Turkey and I heard her. You know what I mean? Because I watched her video when she was, in some cave screaming with all these other kids to come save them. That's power. That's You have a phone and you use it very well, and you use this medium very well to interview comedians, and you know what you're doing is a great thing. So don't ever feel unempowered. You are very empowered. You
Thank
have
you.
all, you have more power in your hand than what put men on the moon. It's true.
Thank you.
It's true. And you use it very, very well. You use it for good.
Thank you. That's the thing I was thinking about, is that, like, when are we going to put on our driver's license that we're not white, we're white privileged at birth?
So let's talk about white privilege. And so this guy said to me, a comedian, I won't say his name, but he posted something actually. He said, don't all lives matter? And I said, okay, thanks for asking. I didn't want to attack him. Everyone just attacks these days rather than talking. I said, well, let me explain why what you're posting isn't okay. Because all lives, of course, do matter, but that's not what's happening right now. You're trying to take away from a movement. It's like, you know, it's like saying in the 60s when Black people were, you know, fighting for their rights. Well, shouldn't white people have rights? Shut up. It has nothing to do with that. You already have your rights. You know, it's like people don't realize what white privilege is. They just think, oh, it means I'm white, so I'm privileged. No, listen, I talked about this guy named Audrey Bible who said, I'm jealous of white fathers because they get to go hunting and fishing with their kids, and I can't because I'm afraid to get murdered in front of my children for carrying a knife or a gun. I've never thought about that in my life. The reason I went so crazy on those police yesterday is I have lived 49 years and I have only been pulled over by the police and had a gun put to my head when I had a Black person in the car with me. Other than that, it's never happened. I've never seen a white family with a 71-year-old man surrounded by helicopters and told to get down on his hands and knees. The minute a 71-year-old white man gets out of a car, the police would put their guns down and go, oh, these are not the robbery suspects. But because he's Black, they spent an hour in front of my house in handcuffs. I wanted to cry for them last night because I thought, this kid is a little kid, and the police had him and his grandfather on the ground for an hour. Are you joking? God damn it. What if that was my kid? She can't get that day back. That kid will live with that forever, seeing his grandfather on the ground with all these white policemen over nothing. And the problem was, the reason I started yelling at them is they knew it was the wrong people. There's a policeman on the video who says, I don't know why we pulled them over. The helicopter said to pull them over. That's 15 minutes into them being pulled over is when he does this. 45 more minutes, they're still there with me screaming at them. That was the problem. It wasn't that good cops said, sorry, we have the wrong guys. It's that maybe good cops, I don't know, have bad training. They have bad training. Pulling someone over for their color, I thought that's illegal. But the problem is any police force knows this. It's a trick. Ask any cop. If you say you're a robbery suspect, you can do anything. So and that's all they said, robbery suspects. That's all they called them. Anytime I've ever had a Black friend pulled over, they always say robbery suspect. Are they ever the robber? Not once. They just want to pull you over and see if they can check for warrants, see if you have drugs, because you're an easy target, because you're Black. It wouldn't happen if they were white.
No, it wouldn't. I did comedy one time in a bank drive-through in Sun City, California with 2 Black comics. And the police were patrolling the whole thing the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's unbelievable what's going on in this world. You know, like, cops know what we're fighting for. They do. They know that we are fighting for the rights of not just Black people, anyone, honestly, because they are starting to take away everyone's rights. They're grabbing people out of crowds for talking. That's a First Amendment right. What I did to those police yesterday, they can't stop me for that. I can say anything I want as long as I don't say I'm going to hurt them or kill them or interfere with their, you know, police investigation. Right? I know my rights. That's why I was
you were so dead right, and you were so brave. And if, you know, you're so brave because all it takes is for one policeman who's had one too many triggers, emotional triggers, to just turn around and
take me down.
Take you down. For no
Yeah.
damn, he could say he saw you pull a gun. He could lie his way out of it.
You know, I'm not doing it for this reason, but my daughter's Black, you know, she is. She is my whole world. Her and my wife, that's my entire world. If the rest of the world burned and I had those two, I would still be happy because they're my whole world. And is that, I mean, look, I didn't have a daughter in 92 when I was still fighting for this. You know, I didn't have a Black daughter. And if I didn't have a Black daughter, I'd still be out there. So it's not about that, but it's also about that. You know,
it's also about what?
It's also about that. Even though it's not about that, it's also about her being Black in America. I want her to grow up safely, you know, and know that because she's a Black woman, that the police aren't going to come into her house like they did to that woman and shot her in her own home 8 times in her bed. They had the wrong house. So you were going to go into the other house and shoot someone in their bed 8 times. It was a plan. A woman, shooting a woman 8 times, an innocent woman. That could have been my daughter. That could have been you, Linda.
That's right. We don't know. We don't know how much worse it could get, too. We don't,
right. I mean, I almost feel like I warned Rebecca when Trump first started getting crazy a couple years ago. I said, this guy's going to find a way to impose martial law because that's what dictators do. The minute they can figure out a way to impose martial law, they can take all the laws away and everyone's rights, and then shit gets crazy. And we're sort of there, but I think what he didn't expect was an uprising. So it hasn't happened. I think he thought more people liked him than he thought, and that Black people were maybe outnumbered. But if you go and you watch these people protesting, as I have done, it's every race and every color walking together. And it's a beautiful America because as you see these people walking, you also realize that most of them look like my daughter. That's what America looks like now, a mix of every race. I think that that's what makes us great, you know, that we are every race. And you go to other countries, and I talk about this in my act, and people look similar. They do. You know, in Italy, people kind of look like my stupid face. But in America, everyone looks different, and I love it. I do. That's one of the beauties of America.
Yeah, I want.
And thank you for your service. Really, thank you. I'm going to thank you your whole life for that. The most important thing. Well, you also joined during a really hard time for women. I couldn't be more proud of you.
Thank you. I got through it as a lady, except for like 75,000 times I had to tell men to go fuck off.
And since then, and before that, and yes, of course. I'm so sorry you've had to live as a woman because men, they really are shit. Most men, not all.
But I you know, like I miss getting Me Too'd. You know, it hurts my self-esteem.
I'll pinch your butt next time I see you. How's that?
You get hooked on certain things. I can't help it. I want people to understand that we are white privileged and quit being in denial of it. It doesn't mean I'm turning on my race.
No, and it doesn't mean anything. All it's saying is we have to open our eyes to the fact that we have privileges that Black people don't. And one of those that's very clear is when you watched those white people walk into the Capitol building with guns, nothing happened to them. Police didn't even mace them. And then you see peaceful protesting Black people on their knees being maced and kicked in the head, right? That's called white privilege. When I was filming yesterday, someone, right when I was done, my neighbor who's from Puerto Rico, she says, Dante, weren't you afraid of those police? I was like, no, white privilege. What were they going to do to me? Really, I'm a white dude wearing nice clothes and my house is right there. You know what I mean? Like, good luck. I have tons of social media followers and they probably know it. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
know that if I'm yelling that loud and I'm white, look out. But if that was a black guy, he might have been arrested. I'm
Thank you
serious.
for doing that, because, you know, you're using your white privilege for good.
Well, I didn't. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would do it if they were white. I would do it for anyone, but I'm sad that it was because the same reason over and over. They were just black in Hollywood. You know, I'm going to tell a story if that's all right. I don't know if they were supposed to wrap up at any time.
Doesn't even matter.
Okay. So, do you know who Paul Mooney is?
Yes.
Okay. Paul Mooney and I have known each other a very long time. If you guys don't know who Paul Mooney is, he's one of the greatest comedians of all time. He was head writer for Richard Pryor. I used to have a sitcom on BET called The Blackberry Inn. He was one of the writers for that show. One night I was driving to the Comedy Store. I used to live in Westwood, and I drove on Sunset down to the Comedy Store. And I look over, and Paul Mooney is on the side of the road doing this to police. And I'm like, oh, what is happening here? So I drive by slowly. This is the 90s and police are out of control. And I see that, you know, my friend's actually in control, so I didn't need to stop. So I go to the Comedy Store. Within minutes, his convertible pulls in right next to me. And he's like, I saw you. And I said, yeah, well, tell me. He's like, all right, you saw me yelling, but here's what happened. So I guess he said he was coming back from Richard Pryor's house. And there were some white kids parked in the street, kind of taking up the whole street. So he went around them. He goes, the minute he went around them, he saw one of them pull out their cell phone. The minute he hit Sunset, there were like 4 police cars following him. So he gets pulled over on Sunset, and they pull guns, and they ask him to get out of the car. And he says, now he's screaming at them, what did I do? What did I do? And they said, sir, show me your license. He goes, no, what did I do? You need to tell me what I did and I'll give you my license. I was like, sir, just give me your license. He goes, oh, let me guess. Some white kids called you and told you there was in the Bel Air. And they're like, sir, we just need to see your license. He's like, so some white kids said that there's in Bel Air. And they go, well, what were you doing in Bel Air? And he goes, oh, so that is true. He goes, I'm not telling you what I was doing in Bel Air. They're like, sir, why were you in Bel Air? And he goes, I was there to visit my friend. And he's like, who's your friend? And he said, Richard Pryor. And they all laughed. And then they're like, oh, really? What's his address? He's like, I would never give you Richard Pryor's address. And then all of a sudden, he said this one Asian cop looked at him and went, oh, you guys, that's Paul Mooney. That's Richard Pryor's best friend. And that's when the cops all went, oh, we're so sorry. And that's when I pulled up and he was going, I want your address. I want your card number. I want your badge. I want this. I want that. And I mean, how many times did that happen to him in his lifetime? What's going on in this world?
Yeah. That's
right. And that doesn't happen to white people. If it did, we would have stopped it a long time ago. But because it happens to black people, we just let it go because it doesn't affect anyone's life that's white. As a matter of fact, most white people sitting at home, they're not seeing these stories. What they're seeing is looting. People in black looting. So they're assuming they're black. And then every time you actually see it, it's like mostly white people.
Yeah.
And mostly out of towners. You know, there's people coming to my neighborhood that I see robbing these stores around here, and I just let them go. What's the point? You know what I mean? But I watch them, and I haven't seen a black person doing it yet, to be honest with you. It's been white and Hispanic mostly. Wow. Mostly. Yeah. And no one that I recognize. Like this neighborhood's mine. You know what I mean? Everyone around here knows me. I know every homeless man's name in the neighborhood. I know everybody. So these guys are not from here.
I want the kind of America where we quit thinking we're better than somebody else. Like it's become normal for everybody to think they're better than somebody else.
You're right. And guess what? Here's part of the problem. People don't travel. They think of the Middle East as whatever they see on television and things like that. I've felt safer in some countries in the Middle East than I do in America. I do. I really do. People who don't travel just don't get it. They think America is the best. How are you sitting in Tulsa, Oklahoma with your shitty you know, mini malls. And then I go to like some Middle Eastern country that's nicer than New York City, you know, and everything's gorgeous and new and nice. And they, I mean, you know, most countries throughout the world eat really good foods. Like I lose weight when I go to Europe or the Middle East and things like that because it's all fresh. You know, if you go to Germany, every place says that you have to buy foods and vegetables within 20 miles so that it saves on gas and they don't have to bring stuff from everywhere. You have to eat whatever's available.
You go to the store every day and it's something fresh.
Right. But people here in America are like, no, we've got Steakums. We're the greatest. Steakums. Look, America's great. Don't get me wrong. And police are great. I'm not putting down anything. I'm just saying we're not the greatest anymore. We used to be, but we're not. You know, you can't have Donald Trump as your president where he's gassing his own people, including clergymen, because he wanted to take a picture at a church to prove he was such a hero and hadn't been hiding in a bunker all night. That's all this was about. It was about his fucking ego. He was so embarrassed that, you know, down there, he probably had no Wi-Fi. So he woke up to a million things saying, you know, that he went down into a bunker. So he probably said, all right, I'm showing everybody, clear a path.
It's a very scary time.
Yeah, I've never lived through a time where our president has turned on us. You know, do you remember that Dukakis didn't win because he sat in a tank and his head looked too big with a helmet on? That's how we used to pick presidents. He didn't look presidential enough. Now we have someone who's gassing his own people and his base is still behind them. You know, you have people that denied COVID, like poor Karen. Do you know this story of Karen? That's why everyone's called a Karen now, because this woman, Karen, went out there and said COVID's fake. And then, you know, a week later, she died of it. People are nuts. You can't, that's why I said, I never put anything about Trump people anymore because it's pointless. What's the point? You can talk about it, just never ask them to change. They'll not, that's not going to happen.
Give us, like, you know how you do those comedy tips on YouTube? Give us some tips on what we can do as white privileged people to make things equal for people of color in America.
Okay, that's a great question. The best answer I can give you is ask someone of color. Maybe not me, but it's true. They can give you 100 more things than I could. But what I have learned over my lifetime is just to try to understand others. You know, when I first got into stand-up comedy in the 80s, I was playing mostly white clubs. I started in La Jolla in San Diego and I was playing the Improv. And then a friend of mine, his name is Faison Love. He's in a bunch of movies. Faison, he was in Friday and whatever. We went to high school together. And he said, hey, you should come play this place called Smokies. And I went to Smokies and it was an all black club. And I was scared. And I wasn't afraid because they were black. That didn't intimidate me at all. I had never played in front of a group of all one race. Does that make sense? Not, yes. Or even women, all men. But a black crowd was more intimidating to me because I was a big fan of black comedy and like Showtime at the Apollo and things like that. And I was intimidated. I'm going to admit to the world right now how I messed up. My very first time on stage there, I think I said the word you people, which people don't understand. What's wrong with that? Well, it's separating people. That's what's wrong with it. It's you against me. Does that make sense? You people. So you never want to say you people. That was the first thing I ever learned racially. And I had never been racist or thought I was because I've always had black friends and I was into, you know, break dancing and I grew up on military bases. You don't think honestly racially on bases because everybody is of a different race on a base usually, right? I mean, that's the glory of our military. That must scare the crap out of other nations when they see every colored face coming at them. But anyway, so that was my first mistake, is I said, you people. And then my second mistake, God, I said, and I was trying to say something about Martin Luther King. And I said, your greatest leader. Well, first of all, it's dumb for me to say your greatest leader because I don't know that. And someone yelled, Oprah. But I basically got booed off the stage, okay? So Faison said to me, he goes, why don't you watch for a few weeks? And I did. And I realized how the shows went, how the jokes were in that room, and I studied. And I studied as a comedian, not as a white guy trying to impress Black people, but as a comedian watching a crowd and saying, what is this crowd like? And I did it. And then I became very famous on BET and all of these other places. But I learned things along the way being on BET, and white people do and say dumb things so much that they just don't realize. And even our parents, even us, and it's okay to admit it. If you say or do something dumb, just don't double down. Say, oh, gosh, I didn't realize that. You know, like this guy who I said posted All Lives Matter, I wrote a very nice thing to him. I said, you know, that's racist, and here's why, like I told you. It's still up. All he had to do was go, thank you for explaining that, and then take it down. And he didn't. So do I like him? I don't know. I'm not going to dislike him. Maybe he's leaving it up because he's never had so much attention on a post. You know what I mean? I never judge someone. It just, I hope he learned from it and doesn't just look at this as I want a post to go viral. You know, I didn't film that video yesterday hoping it would go viral. I did it hoping I wouldn't find anything on video, honestly. Really, I film all the time out there and it's just wasted shit. But yesterday wasn't wasted, and I didn't yell at those police for like 15 minutes. Because for 15 minutes, they were doing their job. You know? But that is also white privilege, you know? Those police have white privilege, even the Black ones. They do. They have white privilege to think that it's okay for Black people to be pulled over like that. Because like I said, I've lived in LA 30 years, lived in San Diego before that. I have not once in my lifetime seen a 71-year-old white man and a 16-year-old white boy surrounded by police and helicopters and made to get down on the ground. Not once. Have you?
Never.
Never.
That man, the older man, couldn't hardly get back up.
He couldn't. You saw him wobbling. And that's why I was screaming at them. My beautiful wife is here, but she doesn't want to be on camera because she's outside meditating.
Hi, Rebecca. Love you.
Okay. She says hi and she loves you.
Hi, I love her too.
Yeah. I'll show her from behind real quick.
No.
How did you get so lucky to find each other? That's
you know what? I'm not a big fan of hers, but she seems to like me. So gotta be nice to people like that. We are the luckiest. She stalked me a little, I'm not gonna lie. And the minute I saw her, it was love at first sight. And we've been together 13 years, and I'm not saying this. I think she's the greatest woman I have ever met. She really is. She is the best wife I've ever even heard of. She takes the best care of me as a human being, and she is the nicest person I've ever met. And I couldn't be happier that she's my partner and my best friend. I mean all of this. I mean it. She's just a perfect human being. I'm madly in love with her, and she writes me love notes almost every day.
When we were in Portland walking around, I caught you two holding hands, and it's so
we're always
sweet.
Kissing and holding hands. It's like we are just started dating. It never went away, the butterflies. I still tell her every morning when she wakes up, I say, it's a beautiful day and you're the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. And I mean it.
How wonderful to have that. You're so blessed.
I am so happy. She's just a good person too.
Yeah.
She really is. And we're lucky to have you in our life.
Sure.
Thank you. I'm lucky to have you guys. You inspire me. The minute I met you guys, I thought, now I don't know how, I don't know why. They are so special. I told
that's how we felt about you, honestly. That's why we were with you all the time and calling you up. That's how the club felt about you. They're the ones who were like, you gotta. And I was like, I already know her. We met her at my show last time we were here. So there. I remember the night I met you, you were sitting in that one weird table right in the back by the kitchen, right? Where the waitresses come out or whatever it is. You're sitting in that lonely table between there and the booth.
I went to every single show every week. that I could get, unless I was sick. I was
Good for you.
Study the
That's
comics.
what I would do. That's why I became a doorman at the Comedy Store. So I could study. I just wanted to watch great people. And it was great networking. Didn't you get to meet a million people doing that?
Oh, man.
I mean, I
Half
got
of
to
the
meet
people I
everyone.
interviewed. What were you going to say?
No, it's just a great way to meet everybody. And you took advantage of it. And I was, if you did listen to all of my comedy tips, one of them was go to your local comedy club every week. Go meet these new 3 comics that are on network, right? What's wrong with you? Networking is like key. It's key.
It's so fun. And you know, like you'll find ones that you really align yourself with, and others you're like, oh, Lord Almighty, I thought, you know, he seemed so nice until you met him. You know, but that's the way it is with life.
Yeah, you know, Linda, please don't get depressed about things. If you ever need to talk, you have a million friends. And I also wanted to say something. You at the beginning, you were like, hey, it's hard to get celebrities sometimes. You have to go through this guy and that guy. Don't forget your friend manages a bunch of celebrities. I will get people on your show anytime you want. And not just celebrities. I've got a million great comics that would love to be on your show. So
Yes, please.
why don't we get a list together and I'll make sure you have as many people as you want.
I want anybody you want to send me, I want them.
Good, I'll take it. We have great comics that I'm sure would love to speak with you.
I want them all.
Good. How did your interview with Jeffrey Peterson go? He's great.
He's a regular. Every Tuesday at noon, he comes on and does brand new comedy he's written and impressions.
Good. Yeah, he always says that he got inspired to do impressions by me, and I have to say he's a killer impressionist. He opened for me in Colorado, and when I watched him, I was like, oh man, I got to step up my impression game tonight.
Wow. Yeah, he does a lot.
Wow, your teeth are so white. I need to get it on your schedule.
Do you want them? I can These are, I wanted the widest you could get.
I love them.
I say that they look like Jane Velez Mitchell's teeth. You know who that is?
Yeah, the TV newscaster, right?
Yeah, except for I wanted the ones that were heterosexual. You want to scare the wrong people off.
That's right. So, but I mean what I'm saying. I follow your posts, and I know that we all get depressed, and especially, you know, the difference between me and you, let's say, is I do have Rebecca and her dad here. You know, when I was in a comedy condo for 4 days, sometimes, like when I play in Dallas, they put me up at a nice hotel in Fort Worth, and then 3 days later, I'm supposed to perform in wherever, you know, Dallas, downtown Dallas. So then they put me up in a condo for 3 days where I'm not performing. By the end of that week, I have the worst cabin fever. I'm going stir crazy. So for you to have gone through this COVID and all of this for 3 months alone, and now this on top of it, anyone who's out there alone, I feel so bad for you guys, and I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you're getting out though, and taking walks and showing us where you're going and what Vegas looks like and things like that. We appreciate it.
Thank you. This has been fun. Thank you so much for inspiring people. And
I hope
thank
so.
you for getting out and fighting for the rights of people.
Good. I'll do it anytime for anyone, as long as it's the right side. I'll always do it. I'm sure you will too.
Yeah, I'm going to find ways to do more of it. You know, I'm inspired by what.
Good. And anytime anyone sees the police doing something wrong, just turn your video camera on. That's it. Even if you're afraid to talk like I did, just tweet it and add whoever your police department is in the tweet. Because the minute I did that yesterday, a friend of mine from the police department called me immediately, the minute I posted it. And I could tell he was a very nice man. I'm not putting him down, but I could tell he was hoping I would take it down. And I had to explain to him, I said, hey man, for the first 15 minutes, I know these guys were doing their job. But what happened, why it turned, was when we all heard the guy say, it's the wrong car. The helicopter told us to pull these guys over. Now what do we do? And 45 minutes passed. That's when I had a problem. And I explained that to my cop friend, who was very nice. He's a good man. He calls me like if celebrities, you know, need to come down and whatever, so that they're not embarrassed in front of TV cameras and things like that. And usually it's like, it's never been anything bad. You know, like some celebrity will yell at someone at like a car dealership and the cops get called, and it's never anything important. But he's a nice man, so I didn't want you guys to think he was like calling to intimidate me to take it down. But he did imply that these cops were doing the right thing, and he was trying to explain to me that Miranda rights aren't necessarily needed unless they were under arrest and blah, blah, blah. Because I did yell out the Miranda rights, and I knew they weren't under arrest. I only yelled it out to fuck with the police because I wanted them to, like, if they're not under arrest, let them go. Let them go. It's 45 minutes now. Now it's an hour. Like, what's wrong with you? Anyway.
You know, what's weird is, not to argue with you, but in a way, they were under arrest.
Well, more than that, they were given PTSD for the rest of their life, because I could barely sleep last night, and it didn't happen to me. One time when I was a 18-year-old, my car broke down on an off-ramp on the freeway, and for an hour, no one stopped. And I was crying. I was an 18-year-old kid coming back from college. And finally, some guy pulled over, and I felt so embarrassed because I could barely talk. I was shivering and shaking and just like saying, "Can you please take me home?" And I lived a block away, and I remember going inside and just crying my eyes out, thinking I was going to die, because it was a tall off ramp. It was like one of these, you know, those ones you see on TV where the cars are going up, up, up. So I was probably, I don't know, whatever's the highest off ramp you can think of when, you know, two freeways are merging, like 500 feet up with no shoulder. So my car is being gone around, and I have thought about that day a lot in my life, and that's not even close to what these guys went through. They had guns pulled on them on a regular day with Grandpa.
Thank God Grandpa didn't have a heart attack in the middle.
We don't know
of all
that. We don't know that he didn't die last night. We don't know that the police didn't give them COVID, because one cop was wearing a mask out of, what, 12 in the video? Anyway, I'm glad that you brought some attention to this, and I hope that people do start checking their white privilege. And don't be mad. Learn. Really, don't double down on your racism, and don't say you're not racist if someone else tells you you are. Say, "Oh, I'm not racist, but what I said was I apologize. God, I didn't know that." That's all you have to say. Don't double down. Really, learn. Learn. I didn't know everything about, you know, Black culture. I had to learn about Black people because I'm not Black. Really, even though I went to a high school that was mostly Black and Jewish, and I have a daughter who's Black and Jewish, I don't know everything about Blacks and Jews. I'm Italian, and I don't know everything about Italians, you know? But you got to learn, and you have to just be okay not doubling down on ignorance. Just go, it's okay to say, wow, I've been saying you people and it's wrong. Or I've been saying white lives matter and that's wrong right now.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dante, for your time.
We love you, Linda.
Love you.
Have a great day.
Thank you for being an activist for human rights.
Oh, you don't have to thank me. I'll do it my whole life.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for
You're
your
an
service
inspiration.
to comedy and to our military.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you. Bye.
Bye, you guys.
Bye. I'll say goodbye to her.
Thank you. Bye, Mel. What's the
I'll
dog's
say,
name?
there's Henry and Butterfly.
Okay. Henry and Butterfly.
Yeah, Poodle and Pitbull.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.